Okay, so I'm pressing the record button. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first burn down for 113. First of all, my bad for thinking it's next week, but this cycle is a lot shorter than I thought it would be. So it is this week. So for those joining in, please enter your attendance in the meeting minutes. And I just started recording this meeting and it'll go public on YouTube afterwards. With that, let me pull up the agenda. Yeah, the main question today is to beta or not to beta. And we have Josh there. So I'll just go ahead and talk about the main blocking things, and Josh, you can add your comments on each of those. So we were, as of yesterday, we had two main issues that were blocking beta. One comes under the bucket of scalability, specifically the GC 100 job and then the large scale performance run. We were specifically tracking this because we had the Go update, the 1.11.2 Go update merge yesterday morning, and we wanted to see if the scalability jobs helped. We did see some increase in the test run time itself. It was hovering about 40 to 43 minutes, which was kind of 5% more than what we normally saw. So that was kind of concerning us, mainly because we didn't have the large scale run come by, which runs just once a day, and that job missed the Go update. So we still don't have a clear signal from that job. So we wanted the scalability folks to take a look at it. So that's bucket number one. And number two was all the auto scaling, the horizontal pod issues that we were seeing for quite some time. So we wanted to make sure why they were not turning green despite the fixes landing in master. So those were the two things we were tracking. So first up is the scalability issue for the GC 100 job. Josh, do you want to give your feedback on that?
Yeah.
So
we can wait for...
Oh, muted. Looks like it.
I unmuted myself. You're still not hearing me?
I hear you. Aish may not be hearing any of us.
Oh, hold on. My issue. Could you say something, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, it was my.
Okay. So we can wait for the long scalability run to complete today.
Okay.
However, there's a lot of ways for that to just be another delay.
Yes.
Because if we get a nice green signal and it doesn't take substantially longer to complete than the other runs, then we know we're good. But there's a lot of ways, right? It flakes sometimes.
Yes.
So we can get a flake. It could pass, but, for example, take longer to complete.
Yes.
And those are both things that we would then need to wait for Wojciech to interpret for us, which means delaying another day.
Okay.
So I guess my attitude is this, as much as the beta release, this is a beta and not the final release. So I would say let's just go ahead and release it. There will be another beta. And particularly because Wojciech's perspective on this is we are seeing some performance issues, but it's not actually from the Go upgrade. It's from a change to the scheduler a couple weeks ago. So I do need to follow up with him and say, hey, so where's the issue for that?
I have, we probably need it. I just put that in the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
I completely agree with your assessment. That was kind of the pros and cons I put in the meeting notes as well. Mainly, the biggest fear for me is more breaking changes coming into master. I know storage is waiting to merge two big E2E changes for their CSI out of tree. They're integrating both the in-tree and out-tree tests to share the same framework. And I'm just worried that if we extend beta longer, we're going to have more breaking changes in master if they merge.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I'll honestly say I'm worried about, and you saw this in the sort of CI report, is we have a lot of non-blocking test fails that are open. and I don't feel like it would take that much for some of them to become blocking test fails. Because a lot of them are non-blocking because the contributors involved have assessed that these are actually problems with the test and not problems with the code. Well, they can change that opinion. And then, of course, the other problem is with all of these non-blocking test fails, we often get poor signal on whether or not we have actual blockers.
I know there are a lot of those in the non-blocking list, especially the taint nodes and all those that are also related to adding coverage with the new features. So the scheduling, the taint node scheduling one, which claims to be a test infra, the upgrade setup issue, but we need to follow up closely on that.
Yeah, and part of that is part of a whole set of upgrade tests that need a total overhaul, right? And that's the problem with those tests, right? Is that when they fail, we don't know whether or not a failure is significant, and neither does anyone else.
Yep. Cool. So okay, then we are not waiting for the large scale run for beta for the cut, but we will follow up closely both on this and on the scheduler issue once we open that. What could be causing this lag? Okay. And also, to your point, the perf dashboard, we don't, even if we wait, we are not clear what signals we are looking for there. So that, I know you opened an issue on that, Josh, to get more clarity on how to read the dashboard itself.
I haven't yet because I haven't been able to find out where I open an issue.
Oh, I saw that issue. I saw some issue float by regarding maybe it was your comment in the Slack channel.
Yeah, I don't actually know where the perf dashboard lives, like the code for it.
Okay, I can look that up. I know you've asked Wojtek for that, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. The next bucket is auto scaling. Luckily, this morning, I got a complete green on the upgrade dashboard for this, the upgrade job for this. But from the comments, looks like we need to cherry pick that text fix into 1.11 and 1.12. Because the same test is passing when both master and cluster is upgraded to 113 and we run the 113 branch tests. It's only failing when the master is upgraded and the cluster is not, and then we run the older tests. So I think Joachim and Mazik, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, both of them clarified that this is a test issue and the fix needs to be cherry picked back. So I am leaning towards this not being a blocker. Josh, let me know. What do you think?
Sorry, I was looking at the perf test. Which one?
Okay. This is the horizontal HPA issues.
No. Based on what Joachim said this morning, this is strictly a cherry pick issue if it turns out to be an issue at all.
Yeah. Cool. And they also seem surprised that we run old tests against, when we upgrade just the master and not the cluster, we run the older tests, which is pretty much what the upgrade tests are meant to do. We kind of run 3 different flavors. One of my questions is, what do we generally do if the changes in a current release changes the feature in such a way that the 113 tests need to be different from the 111 tests? What happens in that case?
We do backports. We have been known to backport test changes for a bunch of issues, and it's happened every release.
Even if the test behavior is different between both the releases. Yeah. Okay. I will reply to his comment and also point him to, we do run jobs with the new test suite as well, but the skewed testing is to make sure that we catch the real scenario.
Yeah. I mean, the real issue is that, right, somebody upgrading a production cluster is going to have to do a gradual rollout. And we need to make sure that that cluster doesn't stop functioning in the middle of the rollout. And this is our way to do it. And it may not be the best way, but nobody's come up with anything better.
Cool. I'll reply to his comment, but I'll be watching this cherry pick closely, and then hopefully it turns green when that goes in. Cool. So that brings us to beta go, no go. So we are saying go today. Doug, are you on the call? I think I saw you.
Yep, I'm here.
Cool. So do you when would you be able to cut off the build and start the branch?
I can start it right now.
Okay, after the meeting.
Yeah.
All right. So once that's done, yeah, we have a couple of other things lined up for test infra, but we should do good. So anyone has any other objections / questions on cutting the beta branch today after this meeting? I'll put 11 a.m. Okay, cool. That brings us to, let me quickly bump up test infra in the schedule. Let's talk about test infra quickly because that's in line with the branch cut. Cole, yeah, are you there?
I am.
Awesome. So you have those 2 PRs, right, to go in right after the branch is ready?
Yep. We can't really test them out quite yet, but it's just a split from master, so it shouldn't be, everything should work in theory.
Okay. So once Doug is done, we'll probably have an update in the release Slack, and then you can merge these 2.
Great.
Thank you. And jumping back to our agenda, so the next, let me put the ETA, say 3 p.m. BST just to be on the safer side. Cool. And the next thing that's there coming up is Slush on Friday. I think all the issue owners and enhancement owners have been frequently pinged asking for status. But yeah, Friday we will be enabling the Slush merge requirements around 5 p.m. PST. So that said, release notes. I see release notes up here first. So Mike, do you want to talk about them first?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just summarize the plan right now. I know you and I have talked about it a bit, but right now the plan is, the draft is up. Thanks to Josh, was able to pinpoint some specific commits that had notes that were falling through, put those in some tests, found a bunch of bugs, generated the doc, got that up and committed. The plan right now is to send that to SIG leads next week for them to provide major themes for what their SIG has done. So the plan so far is on Monday, I'll have, a more final version of the draft because there's still a few edits I want to make to the document right now. And then I'll have a draft of the comms that we plan on sending to SIG leads and like what the instructions are for what we need from them and all that. And I'll explain that on the release team meeting on Monday. And then hopefully next week we get all the major themes in and then we can start kind of copy editing, preparing the final document.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the draft is up if anybody wants to take a look at it before Monday, but then we'll target Monday to send it to leads so that we can catch them a little bit before code freeze, whoever's here and not in Shanghai, but yeah. So next up was enhancements. Kendrick is out, but Claire, I know you made all the updates. Do you want to talk to it quickly?
Sure. So I've put in links. There are 2 issues that it looks like might be punted. One issue that's at risk, mostly I said that because the owner said the timeline felt tight for the 3 open PRs. Mm-hmm. A couple issues with low activity, which I categorized as no activity from the issue owner in 8-ish days or less. So a couple that have had more than 10 days of just silence. And then issues that look to me to be complete, including docs, but folks feel free to sanity check that in case I missed something. The general sense of where we're at is it looks like a lot of the open issues have PRs for either testing or docs, but code is complete, and there are a handful of issues that still have open PRs, but the owners for those issues have made statements they feel confident that they can still make the 11/15 code freeze date, and I put updated status for all the issues in the enhancements tracking sheet and linked that there. So that's as of today, all of those updates.
Cool. Thank you. Would you, in general sense, give a status of yellow at this point? That's what I'm leaning towards, but then, yeah, let me know what your general sense is.
I think yellow seems fair.
Yeah, mainly because of all the whole CSI thing that's going on. it's a lot of different PRs and different enhancement issues towards that. So that's the main reason I'm not sure if we agree or not. And just one request is when you guys follow up on the enhancements, if you see doc PRs being linked there, if you could plus Tim on that as well, so that he can get some insight into that as quickly as possible.
Will do.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Claire. Okay, next up, Josh. I think we did speak about all the non-blocking issues. Do you have anything more to add?
No, it's pretty much it.
Okay. I know you're out whole of next week, but Maria and Morton, ping me whenever you need any help tracking these things, and we can divide and attack these failing issues.
Yeah, and I'll be updating information by report in Slack. Awesome. The other thing that I'll say is we're still having issues with the whatchamacallit, with the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may actually have to replace it with a manually maintained spreadsheet. There's just problems with the Google Docs auto-updating thing, and at this point I'm spending more time troubleshooting it with Nico than I am actually using it. So I'll make that decision before I leave town.
Okay, that sounds good. And in general, what would you say is the sense of CI status-wise?
I'm still keeping it in yellow because we are resolving those major blocker issues, but we have a lot of non-blocking test fails and particularly a lot of flakes. So, for example, even if we don't have new problems, it is entirely possible and even likely that we will have a bunch of flakes that happen to strike at the same time.
Yep.
If you recall, this was in the 111 release. This is exactly what happened the day before we were supposed to release 111.
Yes. And
the thing is, at the time, there's no way to know for sure that those are flakes. And so you end up with a release delay. And I think we were pretty much set up to have something like that happen again. And the problem is that a lot of that is technical debt. It's a lot of tests that have been sort of incrementally updated for 2 years and never refactored. And I don't know that anyone has the bandwidth to actually refactor them within the next 2 weeks.
Makes sense. Even the HPA ones that they've been failing on and off and suddenly became a beta blocker when it stopped looking like a flake and started looking more like a failure. So, okay. I will bring this up a little bit more clearly in the community meeting tomorrow, just to say that we need all these flakes or the non-blocking issues addressed ASAP as much as possible. And we'll see how things go from there. Next up, Nico. I know he is out. Nico, are you here by any chance? Okay. So he wasn't able to make the meeting today. Nothing much from the bug triage side. I would maybe starting next week, I would like to see more of the numbers, more to see the numbers going up and down as to how many are important soon or critical, urgent are there, and track the influx of new issues being opened. But I think, as he says, starting next week, once we are in slush, we'll have better data to track versus what he has right now. So, okay. And then we did test infra docs. Tim?
Hi, folks. Are you able to hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Sorry for the background noise. So we've got 9 outstanding PRs. We'll be pinging the owners on Slack today. Judging by how things went in 112, I think we should be able to get most of those open today and tomorrow. There might be a couple of stragglers, but we'll follow up with them pretty aggressively, I guess.
Cool. Just one more follow-up on the running the tooling, the doc generation tool itself. Do you think it's something that we'd be able to try out, say, even when we could beta 1 or something?
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. So I was thinking this weekend, next week, to start working on generating those docs.
I don't know if it needs to be tied to a release cut anyway. If we can do it as a one-off sometime next week, that's fine too.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be tied to a release.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, I just put that there so that we can follow up. Cool. And Mike finished his update, and Caitlin, I don't know if she's there. Okay. She's not there, but I don't think there's much considering we did the feature scrub the other day, and then she was going to come up with a draft. And the only last thing I had before I open up to any more questions is the 1.14 release stream drafting. It's already here. I know all of us are still busy with 1.13. We are just getting into the weeds of 1.13. But as per the release lead task, this week to get the ball rolling on staffing the 1.14 team. So with tradition, I will work with Stephen to get an issue opened. The ask is for current leads and shadows to think who amongst the shadows might be well prepared for taking that role up again, or also have that conversation just to see if nobody's ready, then how do we fill that role? So yeah, once we have the issue open, we'll just start crowdsourcing for nominations at this point. Along the way, if there's any docs that need to be updated, I know there were at least a couple in bug triage that could do with some updates. Shadows or leads, please do so this time so that we can, once we start drafting the new release team, folks can take a look at those docs and see if they want to sign up to be part of the release team itself. So that's all I had. Any comments, questions? Cool. We will do this again on Friday. I know a bunch of folks might be away because of KubeCon, but hopefully we shouldn't have huge surprises. And the main agenda would be code slush. I think we'll still code slush will happen because it's just adding one requirement to Tide. Other than that, it's just more of a semantic deadline. But yeah, we will meet on Friday with the latest status on that. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks, all of you. Have a good Wednesday. Doug, I'll sync with you in Slack further.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.